Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking at something many of us do, or at least think about doing. Journaling.
Right.
But we're not just talking about, writing down what you had for lunch or what happened in your day.
No, not at all. We're going deeper.
Exactly. We're exploring how journaling can actually be this really powerful tool for connecting the different parts of who we are.
You mean like the physical, emotional, intellectual, that kind of thing?
Precisely, those 5 dimensions.
Yeah.
Physical, emotional, intellectual, social, and importantly, the spiritual side too.
It's about moving beyond just recording things, isn't it? Towards actively fostering a kind of inner harmony.
Yeah, a deeper understanding of yourself. Bringing all those pieces together into a more, complete and balanced you.
And that idea, that integrated self, it's pretty central to psychology and wellness, actually.
Right. It's not just a buzzword.
No, it's this concept that we're not just these separate boxes, physical here, emotional there. They all influence each other.
I think Suzanne Wilde talks about it as like incorporating new understandings of ourselves.
Exactly. And even someone like Carl Jung ages ago, he stressed how important it is to bring our conscious and unconscious stuff into a better relationship, acknowledging everything.
Okay, so our mission here today isn't just about keeping a diary. It's about using journaling actively as a way to weave these different threads of ourselves together.
A practical pathway almost.
Yeah, and to really get into how this works, we've got some fascinating sources lined up. We're going to look at Dr. Dan Siegel's work, Interpersonal Neurobiology.
That's the one, IPNB. It's all about how our minds, our brains, and our relationships shape each other. Really groundbreaking stuff.
And Dr. Lisa Miller's research, too. That's more on the spirituality side, right?
Yes, the science of spirituality and how our innate spiritual capacity links to mental health. Plus, we'll touch on the proven benefits of expressive writing itself.
Great. So let's start with Dr. Siegel, Interpersonal Neurobiology, IPNB. How does that give us a handle of this integration idea?
Well, Siegel's core idea is that health and well-being basically come from integration. And integration means linking different parts.
Linking different parts. How so?
Think of it like components in a system that are distinct, differentiated, but also connected, linked. And this applies both within ourselves, our thoughts, feelings, body, and also in our connections with others.
So it's about both internal connection and external connection.
Exactly. He talks about the linkage of differentiated components. A healthy system, whether it's your own mind or a relationship, has parts that are distinct but work together harmoniously.
And he has that concept, mindsight. What's that about?
Mindsight is it's the capacity to see or perceive the mind, both your own internal world and also to understand the inner world of someone else.
Okay, seeing the mind.
Yeah.
How does journaling fit in there? How can writing things down help with that?
Well, journaling is it's like setting aside specific time to turn your focus inward. You're deliberately paying attention to your thoughts, your feelings, even what's happening in your body.
So you're practicing that inner observation.
Precisely. You're practicing mindsight on yourself.
Right.
Regularly doing that, writing it down, it clarifies that internal landscape. You start to see your own mind much more clearly.
And Siegel also connects this to the brain itself, right? Neural integration.
Yes, absolutely. Neural integration is about how different areas of the brain are linked and communicate with each other.
Like different departments in an office talking to each other.
Kind of, yeah. Or maybe like a city with good transport links. When those neural pathways are well connected, information flows better. It leads to more flexibility, more emotional balance, more resilience overall.
So stronger connections in the brain lead to a stronger sense of well-being.
That's the idea. And he has this tool, the Wheel of Awareness, which is a practice to help visualize this. It helps you differentiate all the things you can be aware of: your senses, body sensations, thoughts, feelings, even your connections to others, and then consciously link them together.
Ah, so it's a way to map out your own consciousness and see the connections. Interesting.
Yeah, it helps you notice all those different threads and how they relate.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly to Dr. Lisa Miller. Her work is more focused on spirituality.
Yes, but it's really important to understand what she means by that. It's not necessarily about religion in the traditional sense.
Right, more like a basic human capacity.
Exactly. Her research points to this innate, fundamental human capacity for spirituality, for experiencing a connection to something larger than ourselves.
Something beyond the everyday self.
Right. She talks about the awakened brain. This is a state associated with feelings like love, unity, connection, maybe a sense of guidance, that feeling of being part of something bigger.
And this isn't just a nice feeling. It actually helps us.
Her work strongly suggests it's vital for mental health and resilience. This capacity seems to buffer against depression and helps people navigate challenges.
So tapping into that sense of wider connection can be protective.
It seems so. And what's fascinating is that her research finds evidence for a shared neural basis for these kinds of transcendent experiences.
Meaning, different people, different traditions, but similar brain activity.
Kind of, yeah. It suggests this capacity for spiritual experience, for perceiving interconnectedness, might be a universal human thing, not just for a few mystics, you know?
That's pretty profound. It suggests we're sort of wired for connection on that deeper level.
And that sense of being connected to something bigger is really crucial for the integration we're talking about. It helps broaden our perspective beyond just me, me, me.
It helps us see ourselves as part of a larger web.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have Siegel's ideas about linking differentiated parts within us and with others, and Miller's insights about our innate spiritual connection. How do we tie this back specifically to journaling across those 5 dimensions? Physical, emotional, intellectual, social, spiritual.
Okay, let's break it down. Journaling acts like a practical bridge for the physical dimension.
Like just writing about your body.
Yeah, essentially. It enhances what's called interoception, your awareness of internal bodily sensations. When you write down, my shoulders feel tight, or I felt energized after that walk, you're tuning into your body. You build that mind-body connection.
Makes sense. And emotional, we touched on Pennebaker.
Exactly. Dr. Pennebaker's research is key here. Expressive writing, just writing about your feelings, especially difficult ones, is incredibly powerful for emotional processing and regulation.
Also,
It helps you make sense of them, label them. Studies show it can reduce stress, lessen anxiety symptoms, and even, as you mentioned, lead to measurable changes in brain activity related to emotional control.
wow. So just the act of writing it out has physiological effects. What about the intellectual side, our thoughts, beliefs?
Journaling is fantastic for that. Reflecting on your thoughts, questioning your beliefs, exploring new ideas you've encountered, it fosters intellectual integration.
Like sorting through the files in your mental filing cabinet.
Sort of, yeah. And connecting different files, seeing how ideas relate. It helps you understand why you think what you think. It's that idea, as Suzanne Wilde mentioned, incorporating new information into your understanding of yourself.
Okay. And social. How does writing alone in a journal help with relationships?
It seems counterintuitive, maybe, but it really helps. By writing about your interactions, how different relationships make you feel, your role in groups, you gain huge insights into your social world.
You can see patterns you might otherwise miss.
Exactly. You can reflect on conflicts, appreciate connections, think about how to nurture important relationships. It really supports what Siegel calls MWE, that integration of me and we, understanding yourself in relation to others.
Am we? I like that. Okay, finally, the spiritual dimension. How does journaling help there?
Well, it provides that private, safe space to explore the big questions, doesn't it? What gives your life meaning? What are your deepest values? When do you feel connected to something beyond yourself?
Moments of awe, maybe? Or purpose?
Yes, exactly. Writing about those things, reflecting on your core beliefs, exploring your sense of purpose. It's a direct way to engage with and cultivate your spiritual dimension. There are lots of specific prompts that can help guide this kind of spiritual journaling, too.
Okay, this paints a really clear picture of how journaling can be this multifaceted tool. It's not just one thing.
Not at all. It touches all these core aspects of who we are.
Now, theory is great, but do we have actual stories? Examples of people using journaling for this kind of integration in the real world?
We definitely do. There are some powerful examples. Brain Injury Canada, for instance. They highlight how vital journaling can be for people trying to make sense of life after a brain injury.
That must be incredibly disorienting.
Absolutely. And journaling becomes a tool to navigate that. There's a quote from Gail Denton, who went through it herself. She said her journal was her way to reach inside and pull out myself so that I could look at her and begin to figure out the new her.
Wow. Reaching inside to understand a fundamentally changed self. That's powerful.
It really is. It shows journaling as a way to integrate massive change, to find a new normal within yourself.
Any other examples? Maybe from research settings?
Yes. The University of Chicago Medical Center had a program using structured journaling. They found it led to a significant drop in anxiety symptoms for patients.
Significant drop. Just from journaling.
Apparently so. And the lead researcher, Dr. Scott, noted that the people who improved the most were those who used their journals to spot those recurring patterns in their thoughts and feelings.
Connecting the dots for themselves.
Exactly. And then developing coping strategies based on that insight. There was also that University of Auckland study.
The one with HIV/AIDS patients.
Right. They found that patients who wrote expressively about significant life experiences actually showed higher immune functioning compared to a control group.
Higher immune functioning. That suggests a direct physical benefit from emotional expression.
It does. It points to that powerful connection between processing our experiences, reducing stress, and our physical health.
That's incredible. Any other anecdotes that stand out?
Well, Dr. Siegel himself shared a personal story about a horse riding accident he had. He said the experience really shifted his sense of self, made him less rigid about his identity.
How so?
It sounds like it helped him embody that M-we concept more deeply, seeing his self as less fixed, less separate, more interconnected with his experiences and relationships, less caught up in a narrow definition of me.
So even difficult experiences, when reflected upon, can lead to greater integration.
Exactly. And that ties into other ideas too, like, shadow integration from Jungian psychology.
Dealing with the parts of ourselves we don't like or deny.
Precisely. Journaling offers that completely private, non-judgmental space where you can start to acknowledge and maybe even befriend those shadow aspects, which is essential for feeling whole, for true integration.
Okay, this is all very compelling. So for listeners thinking, all right, I get it, I want to try this, how do I actually start using journaling to integrate these parts of myself? What are the practical steps?
Good question. It doesn't have to be complicated. First off, dedicated time. It sounds obvious, but it's key.
Like scheduling it in.
Yeah, even just 15 or 20 minutes regularly, that's what the expressive writing research often uses. Consistency makes a difference. It creates that reliable space for reflection.
Okay, find the time. But then what? The blank page can be intimidating.
Totally. That's where prompt-based exploration comes in super handy. Using specific questions can really help focus your writing on those different dimensions.
Can you give some examples again, like for the physical?
Sure. For physical, you could ask, what sensations am I noticing in my body right now? Or maybe, how did my body feel during that walk earlier? Simple check-ins.
Okay, and emotional?
Things like, what feelings are present for me at this moment? Where might they be coming from? Or describe a recent time I felt a strong emotion. What happened? How did I respond?
Getting specific about it.
Exactly. For intellectual, what new idea has caught my interest lately? Why does it resonate? Or what are my current beliefs about X and where did I pick those up? This can connect to spiritual prompts, too, about core values and beliefs.
Right. And social prompts.
You could try. How did my interaction with person make me feel today? Or what role do I usually play in groups? Maybe who are the key people in my life and how am I showing up in those relationships? Thinking about that Emily again.
And spiritual.
Prompts like, what brings me a sense of meaning or purpose? Or when do I feel most connected to something larger? Or reflecting on core values. What are my core values and am I living in line with them today? Using those spiritual journaling ideas we mentioned.
Those prompts really break it down, make it seem much more manageable. Any other techniques?
Yeah. Another useful one is embodied writing.
Embodied writing, what's that?
It just means paying attention to your body while you're writing. Notice your posture, your breathing, any tension as you write about different things. It helps anchor the mental and emotional experience in the physical.
Connecting mind and body in the moment of writing.
Cool. And don't forget to review and reflect. Look back over past entries sometimes.
Why is that important?
Because that's often where you spot the patterns. Recurring themes, emotional triggers, areas where you've grown, maybe areas that still feel disconnected. It gives you perspective on your own journey.
Like reading your own progress report.
Kind of, yeah. And maybe the most important thing, honesty and authenticity.
Being real with yourself.
Absolutely. It's your space, no judgment, no need to perform. Just be honest about what's there. Like those spiritual journaling tips say, it's just you. That safety is crucial.
It really is. Now, we've mostly talked about writing things down. Are there other ways?
Oh, definitely. Voice journaling is becoming really popular, and for good reason.
Just speaking your thoughts instead of writing.
Yeah. For some people, it feels more natural, more immediate. It can sometimes bypass that inner critic or editor that pops up when we write. It can be very emotionally expressive.
And convenient, too, I imagine.
Very. You can do it while walking, driving, and if you want to review it later, tools like Chosn offer really accurate voice-to-text transcription. So you get the ease of speaking, plus the benefit of having a record to look back on.
That's a great option, especially if writing feels like a chore sometimes. Any final practical tips?
Just one, maybe? Try ending your journaling time with a brief "we" reflection.
How does that work?
Just take a moment after writing to consciously consider how your personal feelings or insights connect to your relationships, your community, maybe even the wider world. It reinforces that integration isn't just internal, it includes our connections.
Great reminder. So pulling this all together then, what we've seen is that journaling, when approached intentionally, can be this incredibly practical and honestly accessible way to integrate ourselves.
Yeah, bringing together the physical, emotional, intellectual, social, and spiritual parts of you.
And tapping into these expert ideas from neurobiology, from the science of spirituality, from expressive writing research, helps us understand why it works. It's not just wishful thinking.
Definitely not. It fosters real self-awareness, resilience, and ultimately a greater sense of wholeness and well-being.
It moves journaling from just a record keeper to an active tool for growth.
Absolutely. And those practical steps we discussed, the dedicated time, the prompts, embodied writing, reviewing, being honest, maybe trying voice journaling, they give everyone a starting point.
Anyone can start this journey towards a more integrated and hopefully more fulfilling life.
That's the goal.
And if you are curious about voice journaling and want to see how it might support your own integration journey, you can actually try Chosn for free.
Oh, yeah. How do they do that?
Just call the toll-free number. It's 888-576-5669. Or you can remember it as 888-JRNL-NLW.
888-JRNL-NLW.
Easy enough.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into journaling for integration. We really hope it sparked some ideas, maybe giving you some new ways to think about connecting with your inner world.
And perhaps inspired you to start or restart your own journaling practice on the path towards greater integration.